Sorry, I'm like holding the mic up. We're gonna. You can find me here posting once or twice a week, but every 2 weeks, we're gonna film an episode of State of the New York Rangers. This is the first episode, and I feel it's only fit if we talk about the upcoming looming decisions with Chris Kreider, Tony DeAngelo, and Ryan Strome. I find it fitting with Tony D's performance last night. Let's just get right into it. We'll talk about Chris Kreider first because he's a little different than everybody else. He is 28, turning 29 in April, and he's a UFA, which means he's hitting the open market. Nothing we could do about it. It's a very tough decision. Not a very tough decision. It's very tough to come with grips that he's probably not going to be a Ranger next year. He's been one of our leaders for years, and he's probably one of the last remaining players from those good Ranger teams, with the exception of like Mark Stahl and Hank. But the reality of it is, if he's going to get what I think he's going to get, which is 7 years, $7 million, around that range, it's just not possible to keep him around. First off, the cap. We don't really have enough cap space to do so, and you don't want to be. He'll be 35 once that contract's expiring, and he relies on his physical ability a lot. A lot of his game is speed. His body takes a beating. That contract won't look good when he's 35. Now the question becomes: do you trade him at the deadline, or do you try to make a playoff push? Being a rebuilding team, I think the obvious decision would be to trade him. But in my opinion, only do it if you could get a first-round pick and a decent prospect, or a first-round pick. Otherwise, keep him. Like, why not? Let's try to make a playoff push and get these kids some experience in big games. I truly believe this team can make a push. Even though they sit like 6 points out right now, I believe they could get a little streaky and make a run here. But next, at the end of the day, I think he gets traded at the deadline for a first and probably a prospect. Next, let's talk about Ryan Strome. This is where it gets a little hairy. Ryan Strome is 20? I didn't even look at his age. I think he's around 25, 26. Former 5th overall pick, and seems to be a late bloomer. He's been nothing but good with us, and when Panarin was added to the fold, he's become great. You don't pay role players, but he's a restricted free agent. You could sign him to another 1-year prove-it type deal. You can trade him at the deadline of the draft, or you could sign him to an extension. Unpopular opinion here, although it's becoming a little more popular, I would try and sign him anywhere from like 4 years max, pushing 5 years because it's a little risky, and try to keep it under $5 million. I feel like that would be a great deal. Hear me out. Him and Panarin are just elite together. They're electric. There's no stopping them. If you could pair them together for the next 4 to 5 years, and you get that kind of production out of Strome, you're getting great value if he's under $5 million. Anything more than that, you do have to kind of try to trade him or let him walk, whatever it is. But I think he's an essential part at the point where I don't even see him as a role player. I think he could be our second-line center, even third-line center, but you have to attach him to Panarin's wing. I know there's a lot of things that go into this, but I just can't see letting him walk away for basically nothing. What does he have? 12 goals, 29. Is it like this guy is gonna end up with around 70 points this season? It's crazy, and I know Panarin contributes to a lot of that, but how much of it is he contributing? Panarin's having a career year too. He's gonna break 100 points for the first time in his career. I think those two belong together, like, honestly. And that's why I see them. Not that I see them, but I believe they should try to sign him for 4 years, around 17 mil. If him doing that is his decision, I don't know if he'll do that. But here we go. Here comes the most difficult one, in my opinion, and Tony DeAngelo. If we didn't have Trouba, which we'll get into that. Trouba, I believe, the 8 mil is a mistake. Um, but since we have Trouba, this is the reality we live in. We have a pipeline of defensemen, all offensive defensemen too, and Keandre Miller, Nils Lundqvist, even Zach Jones has been impressive, along with guys you already have on this roster. I don't see the room for Tony DeAngelo, although I think he's a legitimate power play quarterback and he does have his defensive shortcomings, but I think he just drives offense 5-on-5 on the power play no matter what. He had 5-6 points last night. 5-6? Wow, okay, I gotta relook at that now, but the guy's incredible. He's had maturity issues, but it seems those are almost behind him. I mean, his team loves him. He's kind of a troll. Fans are pretty split on him. Get over it. He's a hockey player, okay? If you don't like his fucking political opinions and shit, get over it. If you hate the things he did in juniors when he was like 15 and 16 years old, go look in the mirror and see what you've done. That's besides the point. Tony DeAngelo. I think you got to bridge him again. I think it's going to go to arbitration, and I think he'll stick around for 1 year at like $4.5 million. Now, the cap is so tricky right now because we don't have a lot of cap space coming for another 2 years until next offseason when Hank, Smith, and Stahl are off the books. Assuming you don't re-sign any of these guys, you're looking at about $10.5–11 million of cap space opening up. But you also have to add Shattenkirk's dead money, which is going to add about $5 million onto the books next year. They have a very difficult situation to work out, but I think at the end of the day, Kreider's probably not a Ranger anymore. Whether we let him walk, which I don't foresee happening, I think he gets traded. I think Ryan Strome, I think he gets a bridge. I think he should get signed to 4 or 5 years. And Tony DeAngelo is probably going to get bridged. I would love to figure something out to keep him around, though. He seems to be just very valuable at this point, which we'll get into another can of worms into Jacob Trouba probably next episode. But for now, that will be it. If you guys could do me a favor, although I know I don't have much of a following, if you're gonna buy anything off of Amazon, especially Rangers gear, go through the link below. I'll get a little bit of a commission off of it. It costs you guys nothing more. Just help a broke college kid out. And that, I'll see you guys next time.